It's the middle of the night, the power's off to the tracks, and tonight we're taking you somewhere that you'll never travel by train.
We're exploring one at Euston and one at King's Cross.
Because tonight we're investigating the truly secret links of London Underground.
In this week's episode,
Right down there are batteries, there are valves, there are goodness knows what, there are gauges. District and a Piccadilly, look at that, we've got the full set.
The next stop we're going to see is, everybody?
Down Street. It's 11:45 on Thursday night and we are in a very, very special place. This might feel like the Great Train Robbery, but actually we are on a battery locomotive and we're going on a bit of a tour of London's Underground by twilight.
We are. And I'm a gentleman of a certain age, so I still have a, remember these, file of facts?
You've got a file of
I do, and it's because it has a very special map in it. You might be familiar with the pocket tube map, but you won't find the place that we're going tonight on the tube map. You'd have to look in this one. And this is a carefully coloured map which shows you where the engineering trains can go and link between the lines, and that is what we're up to tonight.
And this is an engineering train, Laura. There are no tiles. There's
Not
lots
yet.
of colour.
Not yet. It's gritty, it's grindy, we're very much part of the action, so this is a very different type of exploring tonight.
This is so bizarre. If you look out the back window there, that's the back of this engineering train. There is this locomotive, there is a crane in the middle, and then another locomotive at the other end. Two drivers, one this end, one the other end, and they basically go backwards and forwards to wherever they need to go. This train is actually going to Totteridge in North London on the Northern Line.
Yeah, they're actually off to do a serious job tonight, whereas we
joyriding,
well,
frankly.
yeah, we are. We're going exploring. And another file of facts hidden map.
You've got it all in there, haven't you?
I do. Well, in order for these trains to be able to switch from one line to the other, there have to be these loops connecting them, which again you won't see on any public map, but one of the ones that we're going to be doing tonight is this one, which joins the Piccadilly and the Northern Line. So we're going to be travelling down the Piccadilly line to King's Cross and then travelling on that loop onto the Northern Line.
And better still, later on in the evening, we're going to be using a bit of track that was first laid sort of 1900s when the Northern Line was pushed up to Euston. Then it didn't get used, and now it's being used again purely for engineers. So this is quite a trip.
That loop is extra special
Yeah.
because it uses part of that really ancient deep tube system. So we're quite excited about this one, aren't we?
King's Cross Loop,
Trains, loops, we've got it all going
Track
on.
walking.
Euston Loop, we've got it all.
So stick with us, enjoy the journey down there, and yeah, we'll
And
see
just
you.
enjoy the soundscape of this Great Train Robbery train. It's fantastic.
Red light.
Guys, I want you to meet Stuart. Stuart is our man who's made all this possible tonight. And we were just chatting, weren't we, in this cab, which is the back of the front locomotive about what the precious cargo that this unit is carrying today. And it's effectively a crane, isn't it, Stuart?
Yeah, it's called the L crane. So what effectively it will do, it will either drop off, generally it will drop off rail, or it will pick up scrap rail. And actually scrap rail, there's so much of it, they could be picking up scrap rail, I don't know if you're aware of this, till 2038.
Really?
That's
Oh my
how,
goodness.
that is how much scrap rail is out there.
What a great bit of recycling, though.
Yeah.
So you operate a service effectively on demand for the different engineering
Yeah.
teams around the network. Yeah.
Yeah, so we have two trains predominantly that are picking up scrap. We have the Elks and we have the end loading units, what we call the LUs, and they're predominantly out there picking up scrap every night, which is recycled.
It's amazing.
To generate revenue. So the customer on this occasion has asked for these Elks to be facing the left-hand side. More often than not, the customer will get the configuration wrong, because what they don't take into account is the journey the train will take to get there. Sometimes a train, the east will become the
Yeah.
north, and
With the loop tonight.
It would be a nightmare
Yeah.
trying to do
So
that.
everything has to be in what we call the envelope. So fit in tube gauge.
The gauge,
yeah?
yeah.
So nothing can be fouling over the side.
And the envelope is short for the kinematic envelope, isn't
Yeah.
it? Because it's when it's moving, you can see it's actually going outside of the envelope of the train if it was stationary. So
Yeah.
a bit.
So that's the
strike
wobble,
the
isn't it?
tunnel.
That's
Yeah.
basically the wobble. So you
Basically,
can't
when it's
scrape the
moving,
tunnels or anything like
it's
that.
Bouncing around on the suspension and turning corners and so on.
The configuration of the Elk at the moment, you won't be able to pick up any scrap rail, because that crane will go across, the jib will only go so far, it's not going to be able to pick up anything. So the top bit of the Elk flips over,
Right.
and then it's secured, and then that gives
An extension of that
it
crane.
extends beyond the envelope, and you can only do that within a specified area or a possession.
Yeah.
So we know nothing's going to be running around, and it's secure.
And we've just piecing together some of the other explorations that we've done, where we've seen rail ready for this to happen. I'm just thinking South Kentish Town is the obvious one, because it's quite often, if it was in tunnel, you need that extra width outside the running tunnel, don't you, to be able to
Yeah.
store the rail and then swing the crane out to get it.
Yeah.
So that's why you put it in like a disused station.
That's why the
'cause you
disused
can-
stations are often
I
piled
never
up with rail
put two and two
waiting
together,
to-
but now it makes total sense.
Sometimes it's new rail waiting to go in, or point sections ready
Or sometimes
to go
it's
in.
step-toe
And
stuff.
sometimes it's, exactly that. Sometimes it's waiting to go out to be recycled.
Yeah.
This is such a great thing. Do you have a certain affection for these battery
Yeah.
locos?
So I came from passenger trains that have air conditioning and fairly comfortable seats, and then you drive these. So it's a bit of a
Bit of a change.
yeah, it's a bit of a culture shock when you first come over. But
It's a
yeah,
bit like all-inclusive to camping.
yeah,
I think just for those who maybe aren't familiar with these locos, you will often hear now that the Bakerloo line has got the oldest stock on it. Actually, that's not true. This is the oldest stock,
Yeah.
and so a lot of the controls, although they are reliable, they are a much more primitive version of what we have today, and therefore the level of skill that's required to operate them in all conditions is really quite impressive. I have to confess that the battery locos are actually the stock that I find most
You've got a little
interesting.
soft spot
I
for
really
them,
do,
haven't you?
I always have, so this is a bit of a dream come true for me, getting to ride on one.
It's fab. And of course, through there is where all the kit and caboodle is. Should we have a little look through there and see what there is?
Caboodle.
Kit and caboodle, because right down there are batteries, there are valves, there are goodness knows what, there are gauges.
Does.
We might as well go and have a look down there. We've got the expert, we might as well have a bit of a guided tour.
Essentially, each side is lined with a huge amount of batteries, and then we've got the voltage that they're currently at. And is that how much current is being drawn
Yeah.
from the batteries?
Yeah.
So at the moment, because we're on the actual
Yeah.
live rails, it's not drawing anything. Be interesting to see that change later.
yeah.
It is the weirdest feeling though, being in the engine. As Laura just said, we are right in the middle of the workings. It's bizarre. Just not what we would have expected, but yet it's cosy. There's a certain coziness about all this.
It reminds me of a World War II submarine a little bit. You know?
The closest that I've come to being on something like this is riding on the footplate of Sarah Siddon's, the preserved Loco, which is even more primitive and also makes a lot of noises like this. So this is like a more refined version.
And with this being a battery-operated train, I'm figuring that the batteries are all stored underneath these things with the black covers, yeah?
These batteries that we have here are... I'm just trying to do a comparison with what you might see if you remember electric milk floats. Underneath an electric milk float, you'd probably see the equivalent of one of these, wouldn't you? So you have more power than many milk floats in here.
Milk floats?
Yeah, I'm just saying, if you remember the old electric milk floats, they would have a battery sitting underneath them that's a similar size to that, maybe two.
Yeah.
It's equivalent to about one of those. So
we're picking up rubbish and delivering milk.
can I have some bread? And
I was going to say, we're like the express dairies with Steptoe on board. And then through there's the other cab.
Yeah.
I'm itching to see the view out the front. Itching.
I'm in. Oh yeah, just picking up a district line coming in from Richmond, which means Turnham Green. So we're going to go zooming through the middle of Turnham Green.
On the fast.
On the fast. Well, this is the bit where it starts to be exciting as we're heading downwards into the ground. So we're just going subsurface into Hammersmith.
This is fabulous, isn't it? So we've been on the fast part of the Piccadilly line, haven't we?
Yeah.
It goes past all the district line stations.
Yeah, so non-stopping at Turnham Green. And so we've basically just got Hammersmith and Barons Court to go, and then we hit the tunnel.
So we're rolling in at 20 miles an hour.
Yep.
Here we go.
Fabulous.
Look at the final passengers. Look at that. You can smell the alcohol from here.
Yeah. I was just saying while you were out of the cab that when you see the massing of orange high-vis, it means last train territory.
But there's a difference between our lovely driver, his face of professionalism, and mine of sheer glee. I mean, you know, if you saw me, I'd look like someone crazed in the cab.
I think it's the difference between this being your first time doing it,
Yes.
rather than your day or rather night job.
District and a Piccadilly.
Oh,
Look at
wow,
that.
we
We've
are
got
honoured.
the full set.
Nice little hill start for that train.
We start to go down into London. So the first stop will be Earls Court, won't it?
Yeah. Right, there we go, lights on.
And the sheer joy of not stopping at all anywhere.
Okay, so just here we've got the siding, and then if we can pop the lights off again, we're going to pretty quickly. Sorry, that was the changeover track. The next stop we're going to see is, everybody?
Down Street.
Okay, having just left Hyde Park Corner, our next stop is Down Street. So as we approach it, we'll go past the siding, and then we should see the familiar bricked up wall that we're normally on the other side of when we're doing tours.
This Down Street.
Oh, here we go. That's the siding coming in, and the telephone exchange is just there, and then we're going down past all the kitchen and dining rooms, the staff dormitories. There's the bit of platform, and boom, that was Down Street.
No worries.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Ooh. So this is the bit where we've got to be really fast and get ourselves on the other end of the cab and get our kit rigged so that we can record the all-important loop. We are filming on everything we physically have with us at the moment, just to make sure we don't miss the moment. That's nice, we've got 50 and 51 today. Ready? Okay, time for the main event then, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Stuart, can you just describe what we're about to see? I'll.
So you can't really see, I don't know if you catch up on the camera, but the shunt is cleared. That shunt is for us to go round onto the King's Cross loop.
And that's that white light with a black line through it, isn't it?
Yeah, but you also see the physical one on the right hand side there. Trains from Northern Line only. And then what you'll see is an EP board on the left-hand side. That's an entry point. So what effectively, we're in Tripcock at the moment, which is our old conventional signalling system.
Yep.
We're going to be switching over to TBTC, transmission-based train control. So when you go through the entry point, what Russell's looking for is looking for on his TOD, his train operator display, which is the exact replica of what you get on the 95s, 96s.
Yeah.
You're looking for the T to halo. That means the system or the onboard vehicle, the vehicle onboard controller is picked up.
Yeah.
So it's like picking up Wi-Fi,
Yeah,
is it?
It's
but both ends are
heck of a
independent.
gradient this as well,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
So both ends are independent. So Russell said because we're the lead loco, we're going to pick up first, but you need both ends communicating.
Yeah.
It's not a game changer if Russell's isn't communicating initially, but we definitely need the North loco to be communicating. And what you're going to get up to, you're still adhering to conventional signalling. You'll see on the right there's a TBTC start sign, yeah, an EPX board. So when you get to this point, you want both ends communicating.
Yeah, can you convert?
And then you've got to convert.
Sorry, I need to get down.
Sorry, there's a hat. Sorry, just one
Oh.
second. Yep. Sorry.
I'm not licensed to practice.
So what we do is we convert the train. We cut out our Tripcock.
That was that lever you just...
Yeah, just put that
Showed
down.
us
So we cut it
yesterday.
out. We put the train into protected manual. So these trains aren't automatic.
This is engineer
Yeah.
train 620. Are you receiving over?
These trains aren't automatic. These trains run under in-cab signalling. So if you get a chance, capture the TOD as well as we're going.
And that's the countdown to when you're supposed to move, is it?
Yeah.
1 minute.
And when you come to this Northern Line simulator, I'll help you to understand how the signalling system works.
Brilliant.
Hello, Northern Line Control. Engineers train 620. Are you receiving over?
So when we get a target speed, that hand will dictate how fast Russell can go.
Right.
So that hand will move. So if you see that skip stations come up, so what they try and do is give us skip stations so we can get all the way to our destination without having to stop. So that the hand has given us a maximum of 10 miles per hour. So if Russ overspeeds, the brakes will apply, yeah?
Right.
And it's going to change in 213 metres. So it's given us a target distance and a maximum target speed.
So
It's basically
this line coming in from the right,
that's the Euston loop. So if we were going down to, Euston City southbound, we would go off to the right into Euston. Yeah,
So this is the Euston loop that we're going to walk later.
yeah,
So we've come out of the King's Cross loop, and almost immediately you can go down the Euston loop,
yeah.
and we're going to go left towards. This is the diversion, isn't it? So this is the bit
We're
where
actually on the main northbound.
Northern Line now.
Yeah,
So this is the bit that was
Yeah.
built when Euston was redeveloped to include the Victoria Line, wasn't it? So that was your original Northern Line,
Yeah.
and this is the new northbound Northern Line.
and these are the things which, if you are looking out of the window at the right moment when you're sitting on a passenger train, you might just get a tiny glimpse of as the tunnel wall briefly disappears and then comes back again.
And you get to see how big the development was at Euston by the amount of track there is in the run-up to Euston's platforms.
Yeah. I was right when we were talking about this in advance. I was saying, oh, I wonder which way it goes up or down. because it had to go one way to get to change level, and it was quite a gradient, wasn't it?
And interestingly, fingers crossed, the rest of our tour team will be on this platform waiting for us. And sure enough, there they are.
There they are.
In fact, there's quite a welcome.
Oh wow, that is, I feel like royalty now.
That is quite a welcoming committee. Hilarious, and they're photographing us. Absolutely hilarious.
There's Chris.
Okay, well, I guess that's our cue to get ready. Gotta get our kit out of here,
Thank you so much, mate.
get ready to walk. Thank you ever so much.
And here we are at Euston.
Well, we managed to do that without dropping anything on the track and without anything rattling loose, which is a success. Yes. Hello, sir.
That is bonkers.
Look at that.
Shake it up, shake it up.
We go down there then.
Wow, that's a beauty.
Oh, good.
That is quite an object.